Hello everyone, welcome back to the White One Auto YouTube channel, and what we have in here today is a 2008 Lincoln MKX. Came in from another mechanic. This time I was actually able to speak with the mechanic because he towed it down here. So it's got a real bad misfire. He said the injector drivers are bad, it needs a PCM, and he doesn't program PCMs. So I had done some previous electrical work for this customer, so he asked his normal mechanic to bring it down here so we could diagnose it, and we'll just let the evidence take us to where it goes. So let me hop inside, get the scanner plugged up, and we'll see what's wrong. So let us start this thing up so you can see what it's like. Gotta turn our scanner up here. So it's got a real bad miss. So let me get the scanner plugged up. So what we'll do is run an all code scan and see what all codes we get. And then we will figure out which way to go. So it is done scanning. Let's see what our engine codes are. So we got an 02 code. Another 02 code. Oh, so an injector fault code. So 124. There we go. Whoa, so we got a injector fault code on 1542. Cylinder misfire. Cylinder excessively lean. That should be the case if we don't have injectors firing. So I will go ahead with my go-to, and let's check fuses. I like to do that just as an overall thing. Let's just check fuses and make sure everything is okay there. Pause right quick. Let me check misfire data first. Let's see what this thing is looking like on the scanner. See if we can get it fired up and see if it'll stay running enough. So let's see what our misfires are like. So we are missing, that's averages. So it is reading current. Seems to kind of smooth out at higher idle. So after you raise the engine RPM, it smooths out. It's like it's not missing almost, but at idle it's definitely missing. So let's cut this off and take a look under the hood. So let's take a look here. So it looks like our last mechanic must have not known how to get the injectors off because he had to zip tie them back down. He broke all the plugs there. So that is no good. Let me see, did he make it? Oh, so somebody's been back here in the rear too. Those are all zip tied down. Huh. This becomes more interesting. Somebody's put a coil in there. Broke that tip too. So let me key on and we'll check our fuses and make sure they are all good. So I know some people may be thinking as to why aren't you pulling up a diagram about that injector fault going on there. Remember, this car was at another mechanic shop, and they obviously, for whatever reason, were not able to fix it. And I don't know what they've done or what they could have done, but I just want to make sure all the basics are fine. So I'll check the fuses. If we find a blown fuse, I'll bring you in. So we didn't find any blown fuses, so we had injector faults on 1, 2, 4, and 5. So what I'm gonna do is start the vehicle up, take a NOID light, and see will it make our NOID light flash. It seems to be running okay now. So cylinder 5, this is cylinder 4, 5, 6. So we're gonna take cylinder 5, we'll cut this zip tie and see will our NOID light flash. So our NOID light is flashing now. We can kind of feel it smooth out some. So we're just going to periodically check them all here to see. They seem to be, the vehicle seems to be running a lot better now. See if you can pick that one up. It is flashing as well. I believe this one is contributing too, because I could you can see it is flashing well. The flash seems a little bit weak. I'm gonna get my voltmeter and see. Wait, well, let me do something, because I really don't trust these codes, because I know somebody else was messing around with it. I'm gonna clear the codes and see what happens. So we are gonna clear codes and see what happens. So codes are cleared. Now let's start this thing up. And it seems to be running fine, but I'm not saying this vehicle is fixed because we cleared codes. There's no way in the world I believe that, but something else is going on here. I mean, we can brake torque it and it seems okay. Let's pull our misfire scanner, our misfire data up. So we'll pull up our misfire data and see what we get now. We aren't getting any misfires now. No more injector faults. Let's go to do cylinder contribution and see what happens. So let's see what happens under cylinder contribution. So 5 Yeah, so we can see cylinder 5 is definitely not contributing as much as the other cylinders. So the negative numbers are not contributing. And number 5 is by far the worst. So cylinder number 5 is also our cylinder that has this aftermarket coil on it as well. So now we got to make a decision here as to what to do. Do we take it and drive this thing and see what happens? Or I think probably a better thing to do is probably to take a look at this plug, this coil, and do a compression reading on cylinder 5 just to make sure and kind of compare what is actually happening on cylinder 5. So let's do that. So one thing I did just see is we have a crack in this PCV tube, and we did have some lean conditions as well. So that is not good. So we pulled our tube off, and this is what the other end of it looks like. It's all electrical taped up. Now I will say there's nothing wrong with repairing one of these tubes, but electrical tape is not meant to hold a vacuum. If you're going to repair one of these, you should use some adhesive line heat shrink or get a new tube. But electrical tape, I don't believe is a valid repair. So we'll cut this off and investigate. I want to blow off the area around the coil before I pull them out. This tab is broken here. This thing looks okay. This is 5. This one's semi-broken. This is 4. This one's broken as well, but needs a little help to get out. Let me go grab a screwdriver. You can't even see that. Get this one out. Next, we want to take a look at our spark plugs. Here, I'll blow this off again. Let me go grab a spark plug socket. This is a spark plug out of 4. One and 5 wasn't even tight. Let's let it focus in. Yeah, so this is out of 5. This was not even tight. And are they both the same? Yeah, they are. They got a ton of dielectric grease on both of them. So let me see. So the one on the right is 5. The one on the left is 4. But they both are the same. This will be 6. Man, it's really rich there, really carboned up. Very carboned up. So I guess the next thing to do is to take a compression reading and see is there a difference. You know what? One thing I haven't done that I always do like to do, let me check the oil level of this thing. I have not done that. Let's see, how much oil do we have in here? The oil level is very low. Let's see. This is where we're at. It's extremely low, even that it's running down on an incline, but it's at least a quart low. So that's, people, we got to stick to the basics. Don't go always jump into, hey, the car needs a computer, it needs that. I'm not saying it doesn't, but no matter how many computers you put in it, if you don't have oil in it, the engine will never run right. So let me grab a quart of oil. We're gonna put a quart of oil in this thing, wipe off some of this dielectric grease on these plugs, and most likely do a compression test and see what we got from there. So as I pour this oil in, I just want to talk to you about why oil is so important. Most modern engines have timing chains in them. They're overhead cams, and they have tensioners that apply tension to keep the timing chains in time. As well as they probably have some kind of camshaft actuating system to where it changes and retards timing. That runs off oil pressure. So it needs the correct amount, the correct weight, and clean oil for that to work correctly, and for your timing chain to last as long as possible. So this is where, so it brought it up some. We're still about a quart low. So this thing was probably 2 quarts low on oil. And they recommended I put a PCM in it. So it's not looking like a PCM thus far, but we're just gonna follow the evidence. We're gonna follow the evidence where it takes us. So we don't know if this thing has a leak or not because we haven't looked up underneath it. But while we're testing, we do want to make sure we have the correct amount of oil in it. There is a drain pan underneath this car, a little drip pan. That's just because the last car that was here. So now we're at about our correct level there. It did have an oil leak, so we just never moved it. So somebody may have saw that in the video. I just wanted to let you know why that was there. So have our oil level feel. Now I think we'll clean up these plugs and put them back in and see what happens. So we are ready to do our compression test. We're gonna pull our fuel pump relay out so we don't get this thing started. Let me key on just to confirm. I don't think I hear our fuel pump on. So let's see if we can prop our gauge in a way where you can see it well. So we are in cylinder 4 right now. Let's crank it on. And where are we at here? We are about 190. So it's at 10. Yep, 190. So let's go to cylinder 5 next. So because cylinder 5 was our least contributor, it had the highest negative number. We just want to make sure that everything mechanically is around the same. And then we will continue chasing our electrical gremlins if they even exist. We are less, about 167, about 175, so 190. So 10 out of 119, 19 minus. So we are good. We could deal with that. So 10% of 190 is 19. And so we do 19, excuse me, minus 190, so 10 would be 180, and then, no wait, we are less, we're at 75, because that would put us, 180 would be 10, it's minus another 80, so 171, so we are good there, at 175. Cylinder number 5 is mechanically good. Cylinder number 6 is right around cylinder number 4. So that would explain why cylinder number 5 does not contribute as much, because it has lower compression. So it's like 175. We're gonna do this again, which is within our 10%. But that would explain why why it contributes less than the other cylinders. Wait, so we cranked it a little bit longer. It did get about as close. So it got close to 190. So it's still a little bit less. So it's, cylinder number 5 is not as strong as the other cylinders, but it is decent. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put these plugs back in here, but I'm gonna swap. So what was in cylinder number 5, which is this center cylinder, I'm going to take that coil pack and that plug and put it in cylinder number 6, because we did have an injector fault on 1, 2, 4, 5. So there was nothing coming up on cylinder 6. So we believe cylinder 6 to be a very good cylinder as far as this engine goes. So the coil, that aftermarket coil, and that plug is going to go in cylinder 6, and then we'll check back in there. So we're back on our forward edge here. We've had this thing running for a few hours, and it is running fine. I was able to talk to the customer, and he was able to speak back to his previous mechanic, and in a roundabout way, he kind of said that he did put some of the zip ties on here, but some of them were already on there before. And so he was just doing what was already done. So a couple things I want to note. Connectors do not need to be secured with zip ties. If you break a connector, replace the connector. You can buy these. Like, I had to zip tie this one back down because this one was so broken from whoever did it before. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a price together for the customer to replace all of these little connectors, because even the ones in the back here, you can see the rear injectors have been zip tied too. So whomever was working on this thing just didn't know what they were doing, because to break one, I fully understand. But to break 6, that just means you're careless and don't know what you're doing, or either you're being malicious. And then you can see we do have an oil leak, so that's why we were 2 quarts down low on fluid. So what I'm gonna do is pull this thing on the rack and we'll take a look and see where our oil leak is. So you can see our oil is leaking. It drops on our front cover there. We're also back here in the rear too. So pretty sure it's this front cover, but I would want to put some dye in it to tell for certain. But I'm going to start getting this person a price together and see what they want to fix, because it does need to be fixed. So we'll check back. So I was able to speak with our customer, and I explained to him what we all had observed here in our shop, that the engine was low on oil. Cylinder 5 isn't the best out of all of them. They don't want to fix the oil leak. They just want to get this thing to run. So how we're going to accomplish that is, remember, our code was for an injector circuit code. So if you don't have good connection on your injector, that will definitely set an injector code. And this coil connector down here being broken as well. So what we will do is we've ordered some new connectors. So we're gonna place these on. You'll see, you hear that click? That's because it is on there. So see how we can easily pull that off? So this is making a good connection. Let's take a look at our coil connector. Here it is right here. That's why there's really no reason not to fix something as simple as this, because you can buy, heard that click, you can buy all of this stuff. This stuff is available. But if you don't know, you don't know. So to get to the rear injectors, we are gonna have to pull this upper plenum off. And while we have the upper plenum off, we will change the back 3 spark plugs and put new coils in the back 3. And then we'll put new spark plugs up front. And then we will change the oil and engine oil filter and remind them that they have an oil leak, and you should be changing your oil every 3,000 miles, and actually keeping a good eye on your engine oil on this vehicle, because it does have a leak. So we will go ahead and accomplish that. So we have all our injector connectors fixed. We put new coils and new plugs on the rear. And so we're gonna replace the upper plenum gasket, torque this thing back down, hook up all our hoses, change our oil, and then we'll be done. So we are all wrapped up with our Ford Edge. We've changed the oil. We got our new tube on, put our intake manifold back on. Now let's hop inside this thing and see how it's running. 247-702. And it says next service is due 9/22 at 242-079. Engines are expensive, oil is cheap. So let's go in here and look at our misfire counter. Let's brake torque it here. Remember, cylinder number 5 is a little bit weak here. So do we have any injector faults again? No injector faults. All of those injector faults were due to a bad coil connection. So this thing is fixed. It's all wrapped up. But remember, people, please change your oil. Thank you for joining us here at White One Auto. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe, and we will see you again.